Hello, and welcome to the Pelvic Floor Month at experientialanatomy.yoga. We have two special guests joining us, two women doctors, and we're going to jump right in, even before you introduce yourselves, which we'll maybe do at the end of this short introduction educational episode. I'd love to hear from you guys. When I think pelvic floor, the first thing I think of is Kegel. So how do you instruct Kegels? What sort of modifications do you offer? What's your personal Kegel philosophy? Who wants to jump in first?
Well, in the last class we took together, they said close your holes and pull up and in.
Okay.
Can you try to do that? Everybody try to do that and see if that makes sense to you, because different cues resonate with different people. So sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Does that work for you, Lizzie?
It does, but what's interesting, I'm hearing that you said holes plural.
Yes, because
okay.
we have two holes where two different things come out.
Yeah. No, we're not going to be shy. We're talking about the pelvic floor. Yeah. So I had always thought that the Kegel was just that hole, not the back hole. So it's both.
This is why we love talking about this. Lizzie, do you have anything to say, Theresa?
Well, I don't know if I agree with teaching everyone how to do a Kegel, actually, because there's so many different muscles, there's so many different dysfunctions, there's so many, some people are real go-getters, they surely tighten those holes super hard, and then there's other people that are already tight, don't even know it, and they're tightening more and more and getting super upregulated. So yes, I agree, when you're teaching it, you want to teach it, pull up and close the holes and pull up, because that it's not just a one max contraction. I mean, that's an endurance muscle that's working all day long. But there's so many different bodies and postures. If you're sitting super forward and you do a Kegel, if you're sitting in the middle and you do a Kegel, and if you're sitting back and you do a Kegel, that's so many different ways of feeling that musculature working. So for each person, it's super individual. If anyone walked in with shoulder pain, I wouldn't give them the same exact exercise as I would for someone that had shoulder surgery. And that's kind of where the pelvic floor comes in. There's some people that have incontinence and they think doing Kegels right, but maybe they're super tight and they're not relaxed, and that's why they have incontinence. Or there's so many different things going on.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so I totally agree. Everybody has different muscle tone down there. Everyone is different, depending on posture, like Theresa was saying, depending, posture is a big thing. And so, but in general, there's anatomically, there's three different layers of your pelvic floor. So the reason we say close your holes is because that's your superficial layer, more your like the sphincters. And then the deep, deep layer is your levator ani, which is the up and in part. But yes, Theresa is right. Everybody's different. You need to, when people say Kegels, people that are upregulated will overactivate, and that doesn't serve them. So it is important to first understand your student or patient's baseline. Like, are you upregulated? If you are, you probably need to downregulate. But if we're just talking about instructing a normal person Kegels, that's what I would say.
So our audience is really yoga teachers, yoga enthusiasts. The big pelvic floor word in yoga is Mula Bandha, which is often called the root lock. Is Mula Bandha the same as a Kegel?
Anatomically, yes. Anatomically, Mula Bandha is your levator ani. And that's the pulling up and in. I do want to say that one of our recent teachers that has specialized in pelvic floor for a long time, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
She practiced in a specific school of yoga where Mula Bandha was very emphasized. All the bandhas were emphasized. And she said that her and all of her girlfriends that practice that type of yoga, when they gave birth, they all had 4th degree tears because their mula bandhas were so upregulated. So like Theresa was saying earlier, it's very important just to understand what your baseline is. But yes, energetically or anatomically, it's the same thing.
Do you agree, Theresa? Jump in.
I agree. I totally agree with that. And then speaking of what Charisse was saying with energetically, I totally agree that that's an energetic lock. I mean, anatomically, you can contract those muscles and think about that area and be like, all right, I'm energetically there. If you have any sort of dysfunction, just leave it as a thought. Think of that energetically, and you don't need to contract and do the breathing exercises around that. You're energetically there. You're thinking about it. You're opening that. You're pulling prana. It should be working for you. I mean, you don't necessarily have to do this whole hold for it to be activated.
So what is you've been talking about this, I like this languaging, upregulated or downregulated. So how can we, this is my last question for this little segment, how can we sort of self-diagnose as yoga practitioners, as women, how can we know where we are on that spectrum?
I think it'd be really, sorry, Charisse. I think it'd be really hard to self-diagnose, but I guess the best to my ability, I mean, I would say, seek a pelvic floor therapist. Surely your insurance could cover that and for an eval, or there's so many people out there that really specialize in it. And like, we really focus on the pelvic floor. Like, we're there for you. We're going to get up in there and check it out for you. It'll be great. But I guess the best I could say is that if you place your own finger or contract and feel that you have a strong contraction, that's great, that's normal. If you're feeling a weak contraction, that could be one of two things. It's weaker or it's totally upregulated. You're way too tight. You don't have enough room to have a full contraction. And that could be one of two things. If you want to tease it out from there, I would totally suggest, getting an evaluation and getting it checked out by someone professional specializing in it. What do you think, Charisse?
What do you?
Sorry to interrupt. Okay, so what I tell my patients is get really comfortable with yourself down there. Like look at yourself in a mirror, squat over a mirror. Some of the stuff that we are taught to assess is, can you pull up and in, can you relax, and can you bulge? And, yes, us as pelvic floor physical therapists can feel that if you're upregulated or not, but I think it's also important for, the patient or the student to see in themselves, like, can I bulge? Can I relax? And can I pull up? And you can definitely see that in yourself. And what I tell my patients sometimes is if they have a dog, I say, watch your dog when they go to the bathroom. When like a dog is about to go poop, you see their anus kind of bulge out, right, and then like poop comes out. And that's the same with us. In order to defecate, you need to be able to release and relax your pelvic floor. And that's how your sphincters are able to relax, because the pelvic floor is always contracted because it supports everything. So that's what I would say.
Okay, I promised that was the last question, but let me just say one more question. So do you both work with men and women or in your practice?
Right now, I'm strictly with women.
Okay.
It's where I resonate and how I feel. So maybe one day in the future, but right now just with women's health.
Okay. And Charisse?
Same here.
Okay. So then I think that's great. We're going to do a couple episodes in a row now for our experiential anatomy audience. And I think we'll focus mainly on women because you are both really attracted to that gender and that's where you have your expertise. So before we close, tell us where we can find you on the internet and give us a 1-sentence bio introducing yourselves to our community.
Okay. Go ahead, Theresa.
I am on Holistic Approach Therapy on Facebook and also on Instagram. And I have a doctorate in physical therapy and working in orthopedics and specializing in the pelvic floor.
Perfect. Okay, Dr.Charisse Balance.
You can find me on Balanced, BALANCED, Physio Yoga, PHYHYSIOD. But I love yoga. I love my job as a physio, and I just kind of blended all this together. I work primarily as a chronic pain physical therapist here in the Bay Area, with an interdisciplinary team. So we take a holistic approach. Studied a lot with your mom. We just came from training with her last week. Love her. I use so much restorative in my treatment with my patients, and it's so important. So so that's kind of it.
Okay.
I'm also on Instagram. Balance Physio.
Okay, well, I'm on Instagram at Lizzie Lasater, and of course, if you want more videos like this, it's www.experientialanatomy.yoga. Big namaste to you, and we will talk again very soon.
Bye.